Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So today I want to talk about how house hacking has made me $1.3 million in equity since 2017. So let me dive into my story. So I bought my first house in the Bay Area in 2017 and I house hacked the property. I purchased it for $800,000. I put 10% down, had a 4% interest rate, and because I had a good W-2 income as a pharmacist, I was able to qualify for 10% down, right? So I'm a little bit more leveraged. So it made it easier for me to pay down 10% versus 20%. And what I did was I lived in the master bedroom. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and I rented out each other bedroom for about $1,000 a month, and that included utilities. So collectively, I was collecting about $3,000 a month, which covered my mortgage, give or take, and I just had to cover the property tax, the insurance, the utilities, and deal with living with roommates. And that was okay with me at the time because at 27, I still kind of had that college mentality. I just moved out of my home living with my parents, so I was used to having roommates. So it just made sense, right? So I did that. I bought it for 800,000, and it's worth conservatively $1.3 million today. So that's about $500,000 in equity, and I just bought it using a house hack, 10% down, lived in it for about a year and a half, and then I repeat the process again. So in 2019, I bought another house hack for $1.1 million, 10% down once again, locked in a 3.75% interest rate in 2019. And this was a kind of a makeshift duplex in San Francisco. So the upper unit was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, which I lived in. So I lived in the master of that one, and I rented out the 2 other bedrooms for about $1,200 each. And I had a lower unit that had a separate entrance. So it's kind of a 2-bedroom, 1 bath kind of apartment, which I rented out for about $2,800 to 4 college students when I was living there, because it's not too far off from my college campus. So collectively, I was collecting 2,400 on the upper unit and then 2,800 on the lower unit, which what is that? That comes out to be about $5,200 a month. And once again, that close to covered my mortgage and principal and interest payment, right? So I covered my monthly mortgage, but I have to cover the property tax, the insurance, and the utilities, and once again deal with living with tenants, right? So in both situations, as you can see, by renting out the rooms, that covered the cost of my mortgage. Keep my interests were low back then, under 4%. But that was kind of the mentality I had. So it kept my living expense relatively cheap. Like I think I probably spent about $1,500 out of my own pocket to live there. But remember, this money is going towards me. It's going towards building my equity, right? Because it's going to the principal pay down there. So once I moved into my second house hack, I just rented out my first house hack, right? So it's still the same tenant that's living there since, like, present day. So on my San Francisco house, I bought for $1.1 million. Probably conservatively, it's worth about $1.5 million today. Still rented out to the same tenant. The upper tenant is a Section 8 tenant who's been great, and the lower tenant, they average around 2 years of staying there. So I do have to deal a little bit of turnover in that one, but it's not too bad, right? So that one, so my first one built up about $500,000 equity in that property. I rented out despite self-managing it. It breaks even, so it's if I have expenses or something major, then I come out of pocket, right? And I'm self-managing it. For my San Francisco property, this one cash flow is about $800 a month. So if something breaks, really realistically, the cash flow is probably just being saved for a major, repair. If it happens, San Francisco, it's an older house. So if it rains a lot, there'll be a roof leak. You might have to patch the roof, or just little plumbing issues here and there because it's an older house. And then the third house hack I bought was in 2021, and this wasn't when I relocated to Southern California. Bought something in Orange County, and my goal was to actually build an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, in the backyard. And my intention was to live in the front house, or live in the front house and then build an ADU in the backyard, and then eventually move into in that ADU, which would have been like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the backyard, and rent out the front house, right? So that was my original intent, but got laid off, so decided not to move into it, rent out the house completely. So I had the intention of making it a house hack, but due to my job situation, I had to relocate. So I ended up just renting it out, and I ended up not building ADU in there. So that third property I bought in 2021 for about 700,000. Once again, I put 10% down, and this was during COVID, so interest rates was like below 3%. And basically, I rented it out, and it was cash flow negative about 400 bucks because I put a little down. But today it breaks even despite me self managing it. But if there's a repair, I'm coming out of pocket, right? Remember that. So if you and this property, it's now worth probably around, um, you know, 1.1 to 1.2 million dollars, right? And I rented out my first house I bought in 2017 and my second house in 2019, right? So just these three properties, right? Like I bought them 10% down once every like 2 years was kind of my average, right? 2017, 2019, 2021, right? Was the cadence. And then because um, that I didn't really do anything special, right? I just rented them out. I just bought a property every 2 years, 10% down, lived in the master, rent out the other rooms, and then I saved up more money because of my living expenses was less. Save it for another 10% down and repeat that process, right? And if you look at it, my first house, conservatively, it's worth 1.3, right? So that's $500,000 of equity. My second house, it's worth about 1.5, which is about $400,000 in equity. And then my most recent one in 2021, it's worth about probably 1.2, so it's about another $400,000 of equity. So I made about $1.5 million in equity, for just my first three house hacks. And what I did was, during COVID, I did a huge cash out refinance. When interest rates were low, stripped out a lot of the equity, and then used that equity to then buy my 26 unit apartment complex, to buy my 20 unit apartment complex, to buy a mobile home park, which I sold, to buy my Huntsville, Alabama single family home. So that's how I snowballed and compounded, right? So in the beginning, it was like, every 2 years I was buying a house hack, right? 2017, bought a house hack. 2019, bought a house hack. 2021, bought a house hack. That built up a lot of equity, did a cash out refinance, put out a lot of money, but now these properties are cash flow negative, right? They're cash flow negative now, but I use that money to buy my 26 unit for, $500,000, to buy my 20 unit for 350K, and have to pour in $3,000 worth of renovation for my 26 unit and about $150,000 to renovate my 20 unit and my mobile home park, which I sold for a loss, but I still have some money trapped in there, and to buy my Huntsville, Alabama single family home. And that's when I exponentially grew, right? I bought the 26 unit in 2021. I bought my Huntsville, Alabama in 2021. I bought my mobile home park in 2021, and I bought my 20 unit in 2022. So that's when I started to scale rapidly, and it's all thanks to house hacking, right? So kind of the moral of the story is like just start with a proven strategy, right? Like, I'm in a high cost living market, but like I remember, my God, when I was looking at houses in the Bay Area, I was actually looking up in Sacramento first because it was cheaper, and I remember coming across like fourplexes near Midtown Sacramento, and they were selling for like $500,000, and there's like two of them right next to each other. If I actually lived in Sacramento and had a job there, that's a perfect place to house hack, right? You just can live in, buy it 10% down, live in it, live in one unit, still have your privacy, right? They're all 2 bedroom, 1 baths. Live in one 2 bedroom, 1 bath yourself. You can rent to one roommate if you want to, and then you have the three other tenants that you have, right? And then imagine another, that's 50K down, and then another year and a half to 2 years, you do another one, 50K down. And I don't know how much they're worth today. They might be worth double because Sacramento went up during COVID because all the tech workers are moving, towards Sac because it was cheaper. But just the simple concept of house hacking, right? Like in the Bay Area, it wasn't as affordable to get like duplex, triplex, fourplex, so I just went single family home, right? So there's a way to get there. Yes, it's inconvenient to have to live with tenants, to have to clean up after the tenants. And what made it easier for me was I just set expectation up front that every month a maid's gonna come. It's gonna cost like I think $200, and we're gonna split the cost, right? And it's gonna clean your room, it's gonna clean your bathroom, it's gonna clean the kitchen, the common areas, right? So that's how you kind of maintain the property. Because I noticed that I was kind of like keeping up the property, right? It's almost kind of like they treat it like a hotel, right? So it's inconvenience, but that's what got me started, right? I put 10% down, got a great interest rate because it's a primary residence, and that's how I continue to scale. And because I had a high income W-2, I was able to do a huge cash out refinance, pull a lot of money. Now those properties are cash flow negative, but then use that to go buy apartments, which are now cash flow positive. That collectively, as my whole portfolio, I'm cash flow positive about $10,000 a month, right? So this is the power of house hacking. Like you could literally just do this every 2 years for a decade and own 5 house hacks and then basically focus on paying those off, and you'd be pretty set financially, right? Or you just could save up to buy a 5 unit apartment complex plus, right? So the key is to get started, and I think the easiest barrier to entry is just getting a house hack. And then once you scale up a few house hacks, you can then 1031 those and trade up to an apartment complex, like kind of what I did. All right. So if you're looking to buy your first multifamily deal, some guidance, check out my mentorship program. If you're interested in having a full 8 hour workshop for you and your group of friends, check out my link down below. It's a new service that I'm offering. Um, in any case, let me know of any questions. Let me know your experience about house hacking, and please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who you think needs to start house hacking to start building wealth today. Please, hope to see you in the next one.